Access attacks involve the technique of accessing network and user devices, as well as accounts, in order to take control of them. These attacks often occur as a result of weak passwords, misconfiguration of security features by administrators, and devices that do not require proper authentication. Man-in-the-middle attacks, port scanning, and bypassing firewall configurations are all common exploits of access attacks. Access attacks can be external in nature, targeting networks connected to the public internet, or they can be internal attacks intended to cause harm to an organization, as is the case with the logic bomb attack. This attack executes a certain payload at a predefined time, or when some other condition is met that initiates a malicious function. Remote access systems are also a major target for access attack. In some cases, hackers bypass the firewall configuration, eavesdrop into the network, enable backdoor access, and modify access settings to take full control of the network. In other cases, this activity leads to hidden malware sitting in the network for some time, capturing all traffic that traverses the network and then uploading it to external entities. Now, man-in-the-middle attacks take place when a hacker intercepts packets by eavesdropping on the network. This attack allows for an attacker to assume the identity of a legitimate endpoint in order to take control of a session and possibly, through that, gain privileged access to a network resource. In a point-to-point connection between two devices, man-in-the-middle attacks fool the sender into believing that they are communicating with intended recipients. IP address spoofing is also used in access attacks. In this case, the attacker pretends to be the IP address of an internal user in order to gain access to user accounts. Hackers use several techniques and widely available programs to craft IP packets which appear as if they have been initiated from trusted addresses inside the company's network. Once the access is gained with this valid IP address, attackers can change configurations, destroy data, reroute packets, and so on. Password cracking is the practice of guessing passwords, revealing them from stored locations, or recovering them through vulnerable recovery systems. Now, attackers use this method to gain unauthorized access, oftentimes with elevated privileges. Penetration testers apply these techniques to user accounts so that they can identify where weak passwords exist or where there are other password-based vulnerabilities, and their goal is simply to fix the problems. However, attackers, on the other hand, have a much different goal in mind. They want to access your data, they want to gain your passwords, and that is one way of providing themselves with elevated privileges and accessing that data. Now, some common tools that are used in access attacks include Encrack, Aircrack NG, which can crack wireless passwords, Cool, Crunch, Medusa, Rainbow Crack, and John the Ripper. In this example, we'll use John the Ripper to crack a password that has been applied to a user account. As you can see here, we have taken the user's account information and unshadowed it into a specific directory. And then we're going to run John the Ripper against that password file, that unshadowed file. And the result is that after running John the Ripper, the password, which in this case has been set to password for our user John, has been cracked. It's really that easy. Now, there are a number of security recommendations when it comes to preventing access attacks. First of all, we want to filter unwanted IP access using ACLs. Now, we talked about a user spoofing the IP address of a trusted network range. Let's assume that our router sitting on the border has the 10 network on the inside, and then the outside is pretty much anything else that could be out there on the internet. So what we want to do is at our perimeter, we want to apply an ACL inbound that is going to deny any packets with a source IP that is from the 10 network. So if we see that, that is a deny. And the reason for that is because those packets should never come from the outside in. We know that this packet is being spoofed, and so we can block it. That'll help us prevent some of these attacks. We also want to use multi-factor authentication when possible. One method of multi-factor authentication that is popular today is providing an SMS number that a text message can be sent to with a security code. Then you can provide that security code. This can also be used in VPN connectivities where you have a key fob that generates a one-time password that can be used in a multi-factor authentication scenario as well. We want to use WPA2 for our wireless networks. Avoid using WEP. Whenever we have the ability to use IDS and IPS to help us detect access attacks that are in progress. Now, oftentimes we need to remember that these are going to be based on known network attack signatures. However, having these devices in place is going to help us see things that we normally might miss. We also want to use real-time password generators that are going to generate strong passwords for us. There are a number of them that are commercially available. And whenever we have the ability, enforce AAA, and that again stands for authentication, authorization, and accounting. And we can implement a AAA system for identity management right alongside or using the key component Cisco ISE, our Identity Services Engine. And using Cisco ISE, we can not only provide the authentication, authorization, and accounting features, but we can make sure that our users are postured, that they are running up-to-date antivirus, anti-malware, and anti-spyware software. And being able to confirm that will again help us to prevent these access type attacks that our networks are vulnerable to.